It's go time.
It's go time. She said it, and I second that emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic podcast. On your line, somebody got to double up and hit that button because that didn't pan out too well. But that's
Okay.
internet. That's just kind of what it is. It's the real university high class conversation from an HBCU perspective, where we get down with some real talk from real people about real topics that go on in our society today. If you don't know who I am, shame on you. It's your main man, your life coach, your author, your HBCU uncle, and entrepreneur Andy Brown, giving y'all down some good game on this real discussion topic. Let me introduce my co-partners in crime as we break down a divine connection of conversation. If you see multiple people on your screen, it's not that your phone is jacked up. It's not that you didn't pay your phone bill. It's because we have a plethora of participants today. So without further ado, let me kick it off to the lady of the hour, Miss Mia from Morgan State. What's going on, sweetheart? How you feel?
Happy day, everyone. I'm so excited to have our guests here to have such a wonderful conversation. I'm so excited, as usual.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we cannot forget about the fantastic blonde bombshell repping Chicago's very own, your favorite auntie, Tyon. What's going on, lady? How you do?
We are good over here. Just can't wait to jump into this conversation. A little bit of controversy this go around. So pack up, be ready, and let's get into it.
Well, 2 feet in on the game, on the plan, and it's about to go down like bad stock on this particular podcast. The pan is in the building. The frats are representing. The sororities are showing up, and let's get down and get to it. Talk about it, Mia. Who we got today and why?
Well, we have some wonderful faces here. Guys, we get guests sometimes, but this is the first time we've had this many. So I'm going to start in the middle. We have representing her wonderful sorority, Dr. Randolph, representing Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. My mama in Delta, Miss Sharon Johnson, representing Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We have senior and junior, Mr. Williams, representing Phi Beta Sigma, and of course, my partner in crime, Andy, who is representing his fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, and Tyon representing Iota.
Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, the first African American business sorority. Thank you very much.
And myself, Mia Ferguson, representing Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I have to bring it in last for my home team from my home state of Maryland, Mr. Tyrone Henry, representing Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Guys, thank you so much for taking your time out to be here with us to have a conversation. It's been brewing over the year. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Real World University, came up with this concept almost 2 years ago of just having real conversations for specifically targeted to parents and students of what we like to say the HBCU experience, having conversations that sometimes parents need support on, having conversations sometimes that the kids need support on. We consider ourselves to be right in the middle, and most of our community villagers, as we call them, have no problem picking up the phone and calling me and say, Mia, can you talk to my mom because blah 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 blah, or Tyon is getting a phone call saying, hey, I have a student here who needs da 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 da. So we took what we've been doing throughout our lives and created this moment and experience for people to be able to come to and just have the real conversations with us, hence the real. Andy came along as our partner and just gave us the cherry on top, just being able to expose our team to the dynamics of the conversation. So we stepped outside of the box of being safe, hence this particular conversation that we're about to have. So thank you again, guys, for being here. We appreciate you, and let's get it started.
Okay, so today we gathered everybody
So where
together to
shall
kind
we
of talk
begin?
about.
Ladies first?
We kind of gathered everybody to talk about their experiences with Black Greek letter organizations. It has been over the last 2.5 months, a lot of discussion on what's been happening within the Greek letter organizations as far as hazing and things like that. And we're right now in the midst of, pretty much spring initiations. In light of that, we are in turbulent times when it comes to our educational institutions. And things that are important to us as far as making sure that us folk can still continue to be educated, can still have the opportunities that are afforded by being educated. And I just wanted to say that these organizations that we are all representing are a key factor in the collegiate lifestyle, be it if you're at a PWI or an HBCU. But right now, for us, that educational core is under attack. And I feel like at this time, this is where we need these Black Greek letter organizations more than ever for their sense of community, for their sense of philanthropy, for just that sense of fellowship that everybody needs to get through this. And because of some of the negative press that these organizations or their processes have been getting, we need to come together and figure out a solution to, again, make sure that these institutions are still held in their highest regard no matter what. And again, that we are still making sure that we can expand, because those dollars that these organizations bring in will be can be or make or break that next student or that next piece of a legacy or that next, scientific engineer in this world to contribute, because again, the educational system is under such duress. We have to make sure we're pivoting and making sure that our future can still thrive. So with that, I just want to just kind of talk to some of our guests about their affiliations, and just give me a little light of one of the reasons why you decided to join a Black Greek letter organization.
Let's have the ladies first, shall we?
Ladies first. Let's start with
Condicia, Dr. Condicia Randolph, please enlighten us on why you decided to choose Zeta Phi Beta.
So, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on the time zone you're in. That question for me is simple. And in fact, when I went to school, I am a graduate of the University of Missouri, Columbia, and was initiated via the Chi Kappa chapter at the University of Missouri. And at that time, I really went to school focused on only joining a business fraternity, which I did my freshman year. But the women of my chapter were women who weren't just involved in their community, but openly embraced me. A friend of mine, her sister was a member on campus, and I was introduced by proxy. And so for me, it was, although I did not know it at the time, it was an appointed part of my wall.
mm,
And as we matriculate through this conversation, I'll be happy to share more. But it was really about a group of women who accepted me for who I was, and who I am can sometimes be a lot for people. I was never
Mhm.
asked to tone myself down. I was never asked to be less intelligent than who I was or less direct than who I was. And so for me, that's a big part of my decision to be in my organization then, and why I continue to uphold that commitment today.
I love that. Absolutely.
Mm,
Fantastic.
mm.
Absolutely.
How about
Yes.
you, Ms. Johnson of Delta Sigma Theta?
My story is a little different. I pledged at the age of 17 at Penn State University. I was young, first time away from home, and my family was AKA, so that was all I knew.
Mhm.
However, as a freshman, we went to a cabaret. And back then, in the 70s, we sang 4 and 5 part harmony.
Mm.
And we were there, and the AKAs came out first because it was just AKAs and Deltas on the campus. And I thought they were just wonderful. But then those Deltas came out, and they had just taken over a line of 40. And it was a spiral staircase, and they started coming up those steps, and they were starting with the low parts. They were adding all the parts, and I was like, I want to be a part of that.
Mm.
I knew nothing about the public service. I knew nothing about what deltas were about, but I love music. So
Mm.
that started my journey. But I need to also qualify. When we were at Penn State in 1971, we were the largest group of minority students ever admitted. They needed us for their federal funding.
Mm.
Mm.
So it was us, all Greeks, all independents who took care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, for my 4 years, I had the support of a community that believed in education, that believed in helping each other. It was all of us, all the Greeks, all the non Greeks, and we worked together. And that planted my foundation in Delta. So as I matured, I came to appreciate the scholarship, the service, the sisterhood,
Mm-hmm.
not forgetting that all of us were founded on Christian principles.
Right. Yeah.
True talk.
Wow.
Love
So
to
you
hear
were
it.
the first, the large. Wow. Right. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
that was a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And the KKK was up there because we were on main campus, which was in the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
And the boys protected us. It
Mm.
did not matter your organization. I didn't learn about Phi Beta Sigma, correct? Until I moved down here.
To the
There were
side.
the Qs, the Kappas, the Alphas, and a little bit later, group by group.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an evolution, but I'm so appreciative of it.
Mm. Interesting.
Mm.
Tayan, you want to go next? You want me to go?
I can go. So, I guess I do share a similarity with Sharon. So, my experience is that we by the time I came along, we were three generations in Greek. The women were always AKs, the men were Kappa, and I just have to take a moment and give a shout out to the best Kappa I ever known. We are laying him to rest on next week. And again, so I was raised by Kappa men and AKA women. So during that time, there was an expectation of a legacy there. But, here I come. I'm the rebel, I'm the free thinker. I had to make sure that whatever I aligned myself with really supported everything within my soul. And part of my soul, since I graduated undergrad, was business. Not that all of the D-line sororities did not have members that were of the business realm, but their principles were rooted in education. And that was someplace that I didn't want to be. So I did a lot of research and come to find out that there was an organization that was founded in Chicago in 1929 specifically for African Americans in business. And I said, you know what, that aligns with where I want to be. So on a graduate level, about 4 years ago, I started my journey into Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated, and we are considered more of a graduate institution more than undergraduate, even though we do have quite a few undergraduate chapters. It kind of dwindled off a little bit after the 70s, but we're trying to actually get back into that arena because, again, we are founded by African Americans. So that was one of the things that I said that was really what I wanted to do. And again, I had the choice, and the others that came before me were okay with that. So again, and I hate to say it, but most of my upbringing was within, some AKA stature or AKA posture. Because again, during that time, if you were in the time that my mom and my aunt came along, if you were in those organizations, there was a certain air about yourself. There was a certain aspiration that you had. And so again, that was impressed upon me as I grew up. But again, things change, and I made my decision to, join Iota Phi Lambda Sorority Incorporated for its business affiliation.
Very
Mm-hmm.
cool.
I
Very
think
cool. Very good to know. Talk to us
I
about
think
that, man.
I think mine. I always. So let me rewind. Growing up around the collegiate space, I mentioned to you guys before we started recording that my mom, um, and dad both went to Morgan State University, but post graduation, my mother was in public relations, and at some point, she was the PR director for Morgan. And so I spent a lot of time as a little girl on Morgan's campus, and I was just around a bunch of dynamic women. And I have to say, as I grew up, deltas were always prevalent in my life. My favorite teachers in the entire world were deltas, and I had one Zeta. She was amazing. R.I.P. Miss Green. But just as I grew and just observed and saw Delta, I knew Delta was what I wanted. And then when the opportunity came for me as well in the graduate space, it literally came to me. I was just walking. I was an educator at the time, and a teacher just walked past me and was like, "Oh, my chapter's having a line on blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Well, is that a sign, God? Okay." And that is how it happened, and I do not regret it to this day. As I've mentioned, today is my 22nd year anniversary, and I can't believe it because I remember there was a time when I never thought it would happen, but following in the footsteps of so many dynamic women, I don't even look at it just as a delta. I mean, obviously I am a delta, but the I just see so much power in who we are. To what Sharon said, as Greek letter organizations collectively, we are so powerful in number. But I'm so honored to be a member of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So that's how I got here, and that's why I am here.
Beautiful. One of the cool things about being a member of Phi Beta Sigma is we stand on the realm of brotherhood. And nothing else stands more true to me than having my line brother be in a position to talk to us today and really kind of give you some insight on what made me want to join this illustrious organization as well. My main man, my deuce in the hole, Mr. Kenyatta Williams. What's happening, bro? How you doing, man? Talk to us for a little bit, bro.
Blue five, blue five, blue five.
And thank you for being here.
Once again, absolutely. Kenyatta Williams Sr. I originally from St. Louis, Missouri, Vashon High School, class of 1992. Originally went off to college at the Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, where I did 2 years. I was a student athlete there, football and track. Transferred to the University of Missouri in January of 1994, shortly after my sophomore year. And there is at the University of Missouri is when I decided to make that leap, take that leap of faith into Phi Beta Sigma land. And so you got to understand that Mizzou at that time, being a football player, being a track athlete, the football team was a fraternity in itself. And yes, we had brothers from different organizations, but in that locker room, you got to understand, from sun up to sundown, you was a football player, and that was your first love right there. And so, but it was a cohesive. We had a cohesive uh, unit amongst us that saw that blue and white light. I'll say that. And so Andy, he's a former football player as well. We had others a part of our journey as well, brother Derek Miller, brother Jason Norman. And so, be that what it may, I decided to pledge Phi Beta Sigma to join the organization because of what I believed in my heart was the best fit for me. Everybody, can choose and say whatever they want to say, but I look at this whole piece
Don't
as
do
an
that.
evolutionary process. Okay, and so that was a stage in my life, and I'm still evolving. We all like to rep our letters, we all like to rep our organization, but when we go out into the world, the world don't see us as Phi Beta Sigma or Iota Phi Theta. They see us as a people, and I would hope that this discussion will evolve and mature into those types of discussions as well as what we need to do for our community. You know what I mean, and what we need to do for our people, because
Absolutely.
that's where the pain is at, and that's where the help is needed.
Absolutely.
No truer talk than that. Even bringing that into family as well. I see not only do you carry that legacy and brotherhood, but you also bring that to your family as well. Kenyatta Jr.'s on the platform talking to us. What's up, my brother, my
How's it
nephew,
going?
my
How's
blue
it
nephew,
going?
and bro, what's going on, man?
Go mob, go mob. So yeah, my journey starts now. I'm living it right now. My journey started at South Dakota State University, where I also too played college football, and then I was blessed to transfer to my new school, Illinois State University, where I am the
Mhm.
president. The reason I joined was because, as you can see, my father is also a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So there was no other way. That was the way. So when I got there, and my mindset is to be a leader, to take over. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way, 110%, and I won't stop at anything to do it. So as I came here, I wanted to learn more about a brotherhood, something bigger than me, something bigger than myself. And that's what it has been. It has been fun. I'm blessed to have all the Divine Nine on our campus here at ISU. So we're running the Midwest right now. Thank you. And it's been going great. I've been having fun. This is thankfully my senior year. I will be graduating in 3 weeks with a criminal justice degree, and I hope to attend law school after that. So, like, my experience here has been amazing. I left my mark. I'm blessed to have three more generations under me, which I have led, and also taught them the reins to be a Phi Beta Sigma man. And yes, that's all I got. Yeah.
We can stop the show right there. No, I'm just playing. I love it. 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 I love the young ones. I love it. Yes, you are doing it, young man. Yes.
Gotta do it. And also
Yes.
hold it down, man. Brotherhood is real, man. We also have the brother in our Panhellenic region, and cohorts, Mr. Ty Henry, joining us as well, brother. How you doing, man? Talk to us
Man,
about it.
I'm at district right now.
District.
So I'm at district right now. I'm in Buffalo,
Mhm.
New York. Um, Thank you for what you did, but thank you for your son at this moment that understands what you did. It's important. So I'm from the home of Harriet Tubman, Dorchester County, Eastern Shore of Maryland. I didn't understand the Underground Railroad, but I understand the Underground Railroad.
Mm.
Omega was important to me because Omega, for me, was top tier. I got in. I was introduced to Iota. I was introduced to Sigma. It didn't sit right with me, and that's nothing against nothing.
Yeah.
This purple and gold. I'm a 33rd degree Mason,
Mm.
right? So I understand ritual. I understand colors. I understand what I understand. So it sat right with me, and it's nothing against nothing else. I took this journey to be a part of something bigger than myself. I'm from the home of Harriet Tubman. She paved the Underground Railroad, right? My wife is a two-time graduate of Howard University. So you always have to add value
Mm.
to your circumstance or situation. Whatever I can do to make us better, that's what I'm gonna do. Because these are all commitments.
Mm.
Love
I
it.
yield my time. I yield my time.
Yeah.
Love it, love it,
Yeah.
love it. I'm getting some good insight, man. We're talking about
Yeah.
some great things. We understand why we are part of it, but now what we do, what are we doing with our letters? Like, how has being a part of your organization changed and evolved into you, the person? I know sometimes people say that, and we hear this on campus. I joined this organization to give to the community. Some people do it because of what the organization can give to them. And a lot of times you hear people say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing for the organization as a representation. But what are you seeing now after so many years, after so many lines have crossed, after so many situations have happened? Kind of walk us through that journey, and we can go round robin on this one and just open up that door. What has been a change that you've seen since becoming a part of that organization, and how do you feel about it now as opposed to when you actually began your walk in that particular light? Ms. Johnson, can you talk to us first about that?
Oh wait, she's on mute. Hold on. Unmute yourself,
Oh,
Sharon. Hold on 1 second.
we
There
can
you
I
come
go.
back.
love Delta. I Sometimes it's overwhelming when I
Mhm.
think of the impact that it has had on my life.
Mm.
I want my line sisters. There were 27 of us. 23 went over. When we celebrated our 51st Deltaversary, it was right after COVID. Some of us had not seen each other in 40 years. But what was special was that we know each other's finer points.
Mm.
And we are still there for each other even after all of this time. I am a nurse by profession. When I was going to school, everybody was a teacher. So nobody could help me with my courses. But the support I got when I was flunking chemistry, the help and encouragement that I got when I had to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to clinical, which was an hour's drive away. Those are the things you don't forget. Fast forward, my role in Delta has always been to mentor the younger sorors. As a nurse, I always help people and want the best for our youth. So it is a lifetime commitment. I have not been as active in the past few years. Number one, I'm older. But number two, I was elected as the national president of the Nurses Organization of Veterans Affairs. And that is a full time job. So I could not actively do both well at the same time. So I'm always financial with Delta and will resume activities so that I can invest 100% like I used to. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it
I,
does.
I think,
There's no wrong way to really present that. I
and
appreciate that. Thank
I want to jump in there because I remember, I remember when I first crossed and Sharon said to me, when I was at a very pivotal time in my career. I was a teacher, but very frustrated with education. I was a dual major in school, so I was ready to go into the more corporate sector of my career. And when I did that, I did well and excelled very well and very quickly. And I remember talking to Sharon, and she said, "Listen, baby, you gonna be a Delta till you die. Do your thing." And I was like, "Sharon, I see this and I want to do this and I want to focus on this." And she said, "Focus on your growth because all you're going to do is bring back all of that, all of those strengths and success stories and the way you work, Mia. You're going to bring it back to Delta. Here we are 22 years later. And that's literally what I'm doing because
you.
now I have activated in my space as an entrepreneur. I have relationships. I see how my dots are connecting. I see how, and I know, to know me is to know me. But I always knew that, yes, it's wonderful to be a Delta. But I knew that I was going to bring to Delta what all of these other wonderful dynamic women brought to Delta. And so here we are, the relationships in education, the relationships in business, the partnerships that I've developed over my years, I am now able to come back to the organization and benefit in a way that I couldn't have done back then.
That's right.
I wasn't ready.
That's right.
Mm,
And I hold that conversation very dearly in my head, and I always said it to myself because there are people who shame themselves and feel bad. Well, I supposed to do this and I wasn't supposed to do that. I'm like, you always have time, but when you bring yourself back to it, and then you continue on with your journey, that just is what makes it beautiful. So I'm just gonna add my little 2 cents right there because
I love you, Mia.
I love you, too.
mm.
You know what? I just want
Well,
to jump in for a second on that, with that point, because again, just kind of getting a survey of everybody here. Do you feel like your investment in these organizations have been worth it? And it's okay to feel the way you feel if it has not. But I think really we have to understand, and it was something that just became apparent to me within the last year. I'm probably giving more of myself into my organization than, I might see the organization giving back to me. But that's my opinion. But does everyone on this call feel free to give your own opinions? Do you feel like, what you have given to the organization you've gotten back, and no matter the circumstances, will you still continue to give?
The
absolutely
val-
not.
the value of giving, the value of pouring is what we're here for. That's number one. So when you give, you are giving because we are to give. That's what we're put on this earth for. So I don't really see, I don't even look at what I do as what I'm getting out of the organization. I look at it as almost my duty to put into the organization because that's the reason why I'm put here on earth. I understand that. So even with my clients in business, with Delta, my family, my friendships, I understand my importance as a human being is to pour into each other. So I don't look to Delta to give me back anything. I look at it as a wonderful method to be able to give into the community nationally, internationally, socially, economically, educationally. I look at it that way. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, you on mute. You on mute, Doc. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I got it. I
There you
got
go.
you. I'll round out the ladies and answer the question that was just posed as well as the last question. So, first of all, before I say that, shout out to uh, Sharon Johnson, who says she's been a member. If I calculated it right, I believe she's on year 54 now.
Yeah.
And one thing that she said was, even though I'm running this other organization and I cannot give as much of my time to Delta as I want to or as I have in the past, she
Mm.
says, I paid my dues are always paid. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for always paying your dues. And I understand that I'm not in your particular organization, but as a person who has served as NPHC president, who has members in every sorority, and as a person who consistently pays her money, hats off to you because you're giving your time, your talents, your finances, and your resources, which is what you agreed to do 54 years ago. And so I want to take a moment for people to understand that importance. Life is going to happen, and we don't always have the same measure of giving. Okay. When
Yeah.
I was getting my doctorate, I had to step away from everything.
Whew.
I still paid my money. They always had my money, but I could not come to monthly meetings. I could not attend monthly services. I could not help with undergrad. I was getting a doctorate and I worked 40 hours a week. And at some point, I had to have a conversation with my Zeta mentors. And my auntie was like, nope, pull out the computer and this is the email you need to type now.
Mm.
But I will say that the give, the give versus get ratio, it's a fluid equation. It's not always equal. There are far more times that I give more than what I get. That being said, the attitude of what can I get from Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho, Phi Beta Sigma, Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi, I'm missing Alpha Phi Alpha or Iota Phi Theta in my scope of
Sigma
experience is
Gamma
not
Rho.
no, I said them when I said the sororities, right? Um, that attitude, that mantra is what breaks the shield. There are too many people leaning on the shield, looking for what they can get from us.
That's true.
Yup.
We all make an agreement, okay? And that's the whole big question now about the religiosity of being in an organization is taking an oath
I'm glad you
to
brought
this organization or its principles, somehow disavowing the God who you serve.
to.
No,
Mm.
no, it is not.
No, it
Because
is
what an oath is a promise. And what I promised to do is that I would give my time, my talents, my resources, my energy, my networking. This here is part of the oath that I took, right? Because I have other stuff to do. I pushed back my meeting with my undergrads for 1 o'clock to 1:30. I'm supposed to run the SAMs before that to get our community service donation for our regional conference.
bless your heart.
But when we look at that attitude of if I pay X amount of dollars to join or X amount of dollars in dues each month or going to this conference, or for me, I'm a life member. I'm not going to tell you what I paid to be a life member.
Mm.
But if I'm constantly trying to make that balance out in just factual dollars and cents, it never balances out because you're not balancing the right things. When Sharon said that her and some of her line sisters had not seen each other for 40 years, but at that reconnection point, that synergy and synergism immediately recalibrated, that they knew, I believe the word she used was their finer points. Thank you. I'll take that shout out.
Mm-hmm.
It means that they all still understood each other's nuances.
Yeah.
They understood what made the other tick. They remember, oh, you don't eat mushrooms. Oh, you can't stand the color green. Oh, you still like to watch cartoons?
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
right.
what you get.
Yeah.
And that cannot be calibrated into dollars and cents. It cannot be calibrated into the amount of time you spend doing what you spend. So let me help you out in case you don't understand the intangibility of the equation that I just gave you. I woke up yesterday morning at 6:45 on a Saturday, had a 7:30 meeting on the international level, went to campus to be with my undergrad so I could do what? Go help them pick up garbage along the side of the street. From there, we went to campus so they could practice for their yard show. What am I doing now? Giving part of my Sunday here. Then I have a meeting after this. And then I have other work to do for my chapter because I'm my chapter president.
Mm.
Now, we could say my hourly rate is, say, $400 an hour and put a number on that. But the things that you cannot evaluate or put a valuation to are being there when people get married, being there when I'm going to use the term intake sister. When I came in, it was a different term, but that is our correct political term now for my organization. So I'm going to use the correct term. When my intake sister called me a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at 12:45, and I had to be up for a 7 o'clock board meeting, she called me sobbing because her father had just unexpectedly died.
Mm.
You cannot put a valuation on not just what it means to endure that hurt, that trauma with someone, but to be the person's safe space that they call immediately after hanging up with their mother.
Mm.
That's right.
That's so
There's
true.
no equation that man can write
Mm.
That's right.
to help you figure that out. My intake sister, my number one, my name is on her first daughter's birth certificate.
Mm.
You cannot put any type of equation to those types of things.
That's
So
right.
when we talk about whether or not it's worth it, you have to first understand that the way we typically evaluate, especially from a Western colonialized white person's valuation system, you cannot put a dollar on that. In fact, the reason I'm here today on this podcast is because Andy and Kenyatta are my big brothers because they came through Eta Gamma. But it is Kenyatta's ex-wife who's my big sister.
Mm.
And Andy was doing a show of his own about the unrest that was going on in Mizzou at that time and said, hey, let me put you in touch with
Oh.
our soror because she still lives in Columbia and maybe she can give you a different perspective, right?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You can't put a dollar amount on that.
That's
No.
right.
And let's be clear, all of our organizations are incorporated businesses. In case you did not know, we are multinational corporations, multi-million-dollar national corporations to be precise. I remind people of that every day.
All day.
I want to actually interject on a few points that you made, Dr. Randolph. So again, just in light of having this conversation, I want to go back to some of the things that you mentioned about ritual. I also want to go back to some of the things that you mentioned about commitment. A lot of this is commitment to service. A lot of this is commitment to an organization. But a big part of that, and what triggered me to even think about to ask this question, is when you mentioned that there's a politically correct term for having a line sister now. Like I said, me being raised Greek, I know what that old school term is. But again, if we think about the ritual, which is one of the things that's mainly under scrutiny right now, I heard stories from my mother. I've experienced some things on my own. literally all of the men in my family that are Kappas are branded. My ex-boyfriend, who was a part of a particular organization, is branded. And I know, again, the things that are mainly under scrutiny right now are those rituals, and some of those rituals are rooted in that commitment. And I want to take something back to something our brother Andy said when we were preparing for these discussions. Some of the things that come out of ritual, that kind of lend itself to, again, to where we are today, is because of, oh, you hit it on the head when you said a Western colonial society, because a lot of our Greek letter organizations that are Black came from the lack of those being present and not being able to join those that were here, early in the 1900s because of segregation. We all know, typically Africans are not Greek. But again, this is a part of what the organization has structured itself behind. But because they are Greek, if you go back to Grecian times, if you read the Odyssey, if you're into astrology, there are certain things that lend itself to ritual within the Greek community. And like I said, with that being under scrutiny, again, I would love a lot of the male perspectives. How did you feel about having to go through these rituals to be able to, give of service, be a member, and then still have that same zest and zeal about being a part of the organization?
Real
Let's
You
talk
quickly
to
know,
the young
before,
man.
wait,
I'm I'm gonna
Hold on,
jump
hold
in.
on,
before
I'm gonna
y'all
jump in.
answer,
Come on.
hold
I'm
on.
gonna jump in real quick.
Yeah, hold on, Ty, because I know she did address it to Dr. Williams, and then you can go because I'm really interested. I'm sorry, I just want to give everybody a chance to speak, but I want to hear what she has to say about that one too.
I will let them answer the majority of the question, but I'm a semantical person. I'm an author in addition to having a doctorate. There is a difference between ritual and tradition.
Correct.
Being branded is not any of our rituals. It's a tradition that some people
Right.
choose to take part in. Other
Mm-hmm.
things that are currently under scrutiny and questioned have nothing to do with our traditions.
Mhm.
They are rituals, and some of them are pathologies that are projected onto other people that individuals need to deal with and not our organizations. That being said, if we want to talk about the sense of Sankofa and our acculturation to being Greek and that being a white people's thing versus an African thing, there are plenty of African rituals that Black people in America don't buy into, such as female circumcision. And so there are African rituals. Rituals are not by any means solely relegated to Western colonialism or white people or Europeans, right? There are plenty of rituals that were and continue to be prevalent in the African traditions. And if you really study Black Greek letter organizations, you'll see the infusement in there. For instance, what do y'all think stepping is?
Right.
Stepping is a direct correlation to the beat of the African drum, and there's a specific African drum that is used that our ancestors then modeled stepping from. That with that, as Ty said, I'm gonna yield my time to you all now.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think
Represent that
braids
country.
come from?
He dropped the mic on that one. That's a great statement. He dropped the mic, literally dropped the mic. I know, Andy, I heard you, and I think I heard you. I definitely, from Tyan's perspective, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that one. Who's
So
coming
let's
with
talk about it.
I can
Let me
speak for
hear
myself.
from my LB on that one.
As far
Can
as
you hear me?
braids, so braids, unbeknownst to us, but braids, and we can talk to each other about it because we're already there. Braids were a roadmap
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that shows
Yep.
you your direction where to go. They were so we were so smart to put it in your hair so that they didn't get it. Turn left here, turn right here. I'm home. I'm from the home of Harriet Tubman. She
Yes, sir.
built the Underground Railroad. This shit is real for me. I'm sorry.
Hmm.
You can say real.
No, I think you say shit.
No, I said shit. She said, when you get up here, this person gonna help you. When you get over here, this person gonna help you. When you get over here, this person gonna help you. That is perseverance. That is the Underground Railroad. It's braids. They put the whole map on the head.
And I believe that from what Dr. Randolph said,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think what happens, and I'm actually working on a project right now, there was so much dissemination upon the information given to people to really understand who and what we are and were, and the value that came from what we did and how strong we were as a culture, that things as simple as braids have been turned against us, quote unquote, in
It's
society
explosive.
through the phase of what the play that I'm working with on now is specifically about code switching. So I'll never forget being a little girl. I was too young to go see School Days because my mother would not let me go see rated R movies because I was under the age of 18. However, when she rented it on DVD on VHS and we watched it at home, my father was a groove, and the organization depicted in that was Groove Five, they say. And so my mother was like, I remember your father marching around Morgan's campus looking like a fool. And my father was like, we were just all about, to Sharon's point, we were just about community. That was such a pivotal time in history, as if we haven't had many, but such a pivotal time in history. But one of the arguments in that movie, we all know, if we all saw it, I don't know about you, Junior, but I'm sure you probably did. But that scene when they were having the argument about, Greeks aren't black, quote unquote,
Mm.
and it really, as a youngster, you don't really understand that. But to what Dr. Randolph said, to what Tyann brought up in the conversation, it's not about that per se. It's understanding that we were amongst those that developed this culture in this space, but throughout time they deviated and they tried to take away from us what was already ours. And so when we come back to the reason why we're all here, I'm going to say it so many times, I say it in so many different platforms. There's so many strengths in numbers, but what Tyon started this conversation off with saying is that we have to figure out how to get beyond what the media tries to say. We have to try to get beyond what those who don't know what they're saying try to say. We have to stick to and figure out more intuitive ways to show who we are and what we do. Right. So I just wanted to say that.
And with that, like I said, I still want to take it back to, what I asked on ritual. And I think Kenyatta Senior was going to make a comment on that, because again, that ritual and some of the things that come out of that ritual again shows that dedication. It shows literally your commitment to the organization. But a lot of the times, is that taking it too far, and is that necessary? This would like to hear your
Right.
perspective on that.
Absolutely. I would say that you know, at the end of the day, and I'm gonna go into the proper context. At the end of the day, you always gonna have new sayers. You're always gonna have uh, people in organizations that's gonna critique you, your organization, and whatever. Even if you belong to a company, you're always gonna have naysayers that's gonna critique you and how you represent yourself. Me myself, I've always prided myself of I can care less what society says. What we as the Divine Nine need to focus on is the work.
That's
Period.
right.
The work speaks for us. The results are in the lives that we impact and affect on a daily basis. Rituals to me, rituals are rituals. Period. I'm not walking around my house with no candle. Ain't no ghost popping out no closet. I know who I pray to on a daily basis. I pray to him 5 times a day because that's my spiritual walk. That's my faith-based system. My affiliation with my organization is just that. We talking about brands. Hell, I got 16 of them. That doesn't make me no bigger of a man than any of my other brothers from the Divine Nine. That just shows you my love that I have for my organization. It's not an indication of manhood. Me being able to take wood or being able to give wood is not an indication of manhood. Okay, all those processes, all those things that people can take for granted. You know the old cliche, one spoiled apple can spoil the what? The whole burr. All it takes is one brother or one sister from any organization to do something stupid, to do something out of context in the name of ritual. But I think as the Divine Nine, what we need to do is focus on our root principles that our founders was founded on. And
Yes.
whatever those principles are, as long as we stick to that focus, stick to that work, giving it back to the community. I base myself off making brothers. And when I mean brothers, I mean brothers. So, my activity within my organization is how many lives am I changing? Am I really making a man? All my sons are men, all of them. I got 3 boys and 1 girl. All of them are men. I raise soldiers. I produce, so I want to reproduce myself in my brother Kenya or the other brothers that I brought through the process. I want to see myself in them. But to me, rituals are just that. I can care less what society say about my organization in relation to rituals, because that's just that. It's a ritual. It serves a purpose. It lets you know where you at in the process. But that's your own organization's business. It has nothing to do with anybody else, because you yourself know who you pray to.
That's right.
That's between you and your God.
That's right.
And I
So
want to
that's
jump
why.
in here. I want to jump in for that as well, because like I said, I mentioned before, there were 2 routes in my family when I was growing up. But then what a few of you might not know is I actually have a college age student as well. And I have to actually give props to Phi Beta Sigma, because literally at the age of 11 and looking for a male mentor for my child, I was recommended by a Zeta, hey, put your son in Sigma Beta. One of the best decisions I made as a single mom. So again, benefiting from the community, just the D9 community as a whole, because a lot of the times what people see is, each organization dissing each other or trying to make sure that one is better or a preference. But at the end of the day, when everybody has finished whatever their process is and their ritual, when y'all get together as the D9,
Ain't nothing but love.
listen, it's all love. It is all love. And again, I give respect to that. And even everyone in my life from the D9 that has influenced me, the resources have always been available. So again, props to Phi Beta Sigma on that. And I know that's one of your missions, but one of the things that I didn't know until my son became a Sigma Beta is how invested from a financial standpoint you got. Those brothers is about business. So, again, I want to give props to that, because again, that financial pillar is something that we also need in the community. And if you think about all of the economics of a lot of these fraternal and sorority organizations, how much money they pour back into the community, how much money they again use in philanthropic ways, we couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, quite honestly, and like I said, bringing that whole conversation full circle to what's going on with us trying to maintain and still be able to go to university, be in the HBCU or PWI. But this question I'm going to direct to Junior, because he's in the midst of it. He's literally on the cusp because he's getting ready to graduate.
Yes,
but
sir.
From your perspective of being, an active D9 on a PWI campus and your mode of service, what are some of the types of things that you're doing from a service aspect to make sure that all of the students of color are still feeling welcomed, that are still feeling that they have a way, and how are you supporting?
Mm.
I love that question because we have something today for that. Every Sunday, our chapter of Epsilon Chi, we partner with Impact. Impact is a Bible study group that we hold every Sunday, and it's packed to the brim. I didn't think it was going to be packed, but we have all people from all different races that come, and we share Bible verses and all that, everything. And then we also have started an event that we do called a kind of like a brotherhood retreat. So we have any potential interest or brothers of color, or for our Zetas, they also do a sisterhood one. Where we have people of color come out. We tie ties. We do resume builders. I'm also on the side. I do photography and videography also. So I actually take headshots for any of the new freshmen coming in for their LinkedIn pages, because that's one thing I should have started as a freshman, but I didn't. So I'm trying to figure out all the things I could have done better and push it on to everyone behind me. Going to a PWI, I wouldn't say we're outnumbered because I consider us a mini HBCU. I know that's crazy to say, but I'm happy that I'm a part of the Black community here at ISU. We do make some noise here. We make a stand. We do what we have to do. Everyone knows we are here. And also we keep people involved, especially incoming freshmen, incoming sophomores. That's who you have to get for. Us seniors, we're on our way out. We're leaving. So I can do as much as I can for the small part these next few weeks. But you really need to touch on the younger generation, because that's what's important right now. Everyone else, they had your time. You did your time however many years ago. You can't do nothing anymore. You can still pay what you can pay, but you're not living through it. You're not doing it right now. There's a lot that's changing from when my dad was in his system compared to now. It's a lot of different changes. We talk about it all the time, what he did and now what I do. So one of the things I talk about is it's evolution. Things are changing. You got to get right, you're gonna get left. If you're not gonna get with the time's not going to wait for you. Tomorrow's still gonna come. The next day's still gonna come. So, but going back to my point with the students of color, it's big, it's huge. We try to reach out. We have flyers all over campus. We try to do street cleanups. We go to the middle school down the street to step for the young kids. They love that because we have a lot of different high schools and middle schools around there. I go in there and talk with the football teams because I used to play college football. So I give my idea of what to do and how to have a backup plan, because you can't play sports forever. What's your backup plan? What are you going to do? I struggled with that for a while. Was for what I was going to do after playing sports. So that's like the biggest thing I'm on right now. That's my senior project. So that's my little ramble right now. But just know, ISU the D9, we are taking care of our colored section.
While we have your attention, and we're coming up on time really quickly, but because we have one here, junior and senior, please speak on in these last few minutes what it's like to extend that legacy and be of that legacy, because I know that's also another pressure sometimes within Greek life. It's, am I living up to the standards of that one that has come before me, or am I putting too much pressure on the one that is coming after me? So if you guys can speak on your experience as being a legacy, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'll go first. I'll take that, Junior. That's another good question, and I know Junior's going to laugh because, the intake process for my children began when they came on the planet. And so it was no option, but the most important thing is I knew, and he can bear me witness, but my number one goal was emulating the principles that my organization represented: brotherhood, scholarship, and service. I treat my sons like they're my brothers, even before they even joined my organization. I raised them in an atmosphere of brotherhood. I taught them what brotherhood really was and because we lived it. We lived it on a daily basis. Sacrifice. You know what I mean? Giving of yourself, giving of your time, giving of your resources. He understands that. He understood it as a young age. At a young age, so I knew in my heart that whatever he decided to do, I was going to support.
No, it wasn't.
The main thing is get busy, get to work, be active when you got to your undergraduate campus. Be active, be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I have to say you did a great job, sir. Like it feels good to see a product of us, the village, in a space
Point proven.
that like you did it. He is a dynamic young man, and I just think that Tayana and I always talk about how we understood sisterhood because we saw how our parents were with each other. My father looked at all of my mother's friends in college like they're his sisters. When she passed, he's still to this day, he's going one to celebrate her birthday, right? She was the baby from Pennsylvania. She was the youngest. And he's like, Janice, her birthday is today. So I'm like, okay, daddy, I'm gonna go here and we're gonna come here and do this. But it just speaks to who we are. We talk about the village. I think that for what we wanted this conversation to be, we've had it. I think that the answer is always the work that we do and how we show up, and it's very apparent that we show up in many different ways in many different spaces of our lives. And what I always try to remember, when we talk about the ritualistic thing. I sit in these meetings and I'm saying, and we're going through our process, and I'm like, how do people say these things? And I say, whatever it is, however you showed up, you didn't show up authentically you, right? Because it's beyond the meeting. It's how you show up in your workspace, it's how you show up in the world overall, right? Some people consider me to be a hippie kid. I love everyone because I understand my human space, but at the end of the day, I can only do what I'm allowed to do with those around me. Right. If you guys decided to say, hey, I'm not showing up for the show today, Mia would have been on here by herself having a conversation because I'm going to show up. Right. But what I've seen, and I'm going to thank each of you individually, Sharon, for who you are. Dr. Randolph, you brought so many dynamic spaces. And I appreciate you because, girl, you got a schedule today. Your schedule today was mine yesterday. Okay. A girl is tired. Okay. Obviously, junior and senior, we appreciate you for first of all, senior, for putting someone like a junior here on this earth. Because to Tyan's point, she has a student in college. He's a dynamic young man. Junior, my junior Henry, thank you for coming on, because you have been recently initiated into this fold, and you're about to see there's a lot of work that is to be done. I'm going to come back to Andy for just always persevering and making sure that we can show up as the real and Tyan for who always keeps us in order. But we want to continue to push forward. This might not be the last time we push out and reach out to you guys for this conversation because there's a lot of work being done. I know we're all in our regionals, and for us, it's our nationals coming up. And there's a lot of conversations that I want to bring to the table about our initiatives, how we can help each other, how we can stand up. I have 3 clients in particular who are desperately trying to figure out how to support us, right? And so I know that we move individually in our spaces, and the organizations like the National Panhandle are here for us to be able to collaborate on things. But I think that we have to continue to be vocal and show the action to keep who we are as organizations alive, because we're watching right now how they're trying to kill not us physically anymore, because they've been trying to do that, but our voice, right? But what's happening, if you notice, the resurgence of the original power, the original information. People are breaking down and saying, "Nope, nope, the original documentation is over here. Come get it, people!" Because these folks, we're tired of the lie because now the lie is backfiring on a lot of people, right? So I just want to say thank you so much, on behalf of the real Tayana, Andy. I don't know if you want to say anything. I know we were trying to respectfully keep it under a certain amount of time, but this has been such a great conversation. Yeah,
Well, I'm just going to say thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over to Andy because just as he brings us in, he
you
can
bring
bring
it
us
out.
out.
Thank you all for making time for us today. I know you all have other things to do, but I definitely want to thank you for making this a part of what you did. Your effort, your time, your voice was definitely appreciated. Continue to spread love. Continue to be who you are, and let your light, your reflection, the reason why you joined your organization, um, continue to be something that is seen not only on this particular podcast, but in your everyday walk. We thank you. We send the blessings to you and your family, and we appreciate your time. Please share this link. Please share the likes. Please share the love, and continue to support what we do.
And
Thank you.
continue to be
I,
great.
I,
Thank you,
I,
guys.
I,
Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Right.
All right. Bye bye.
bro.
And we are on. mm, There we go.